Okay, we're going to look at section 1.1 as an overview, and we start by studying the rectangular coordinate system. So we would draw an x and a y axis intersecting at 0, 0, the origin. And we'll label these axes. We have the x going left to right and the y bottom to top. This is called a Cartesian plane or coordinate plane. And we're going to plot points, and we're going to identify which quadrant they lie in, or if they lie on a quadrant axis, one of these axes. The quadrants are numbered if you draw a C for coordinate plane or Cartesian plane in that order, 1, 2, 3, 4 as you go around. Now the x coordinate in an ordered pair, or the first coordinate, is called the abscissa. The second coordinate is just usually called the ordinate, or we say just usually the y coordinate, and we will use x and y to represent these points, and these two coordinates make a point on this grid over here. So first of all, we'll plot a few points. I will say that point 1 is negative 1, 3. So I would start in the center where the x and y axis intersect. Now I would count left 1, and from there I would go up positive 3 in the y direction, 1, 2, 3, and put 1 point at the end of going left and then right. That would be that point. So you should be able to plot points already on one of these XY planes, and to tell which quadrant the point lies in. So this negative 1, 3 lies in quadrant 2, and you should be able to plot points that land on an axis. For example, we'll say point 2 is 5, 0, where the horizontal distance, or x, is 5. So I would start at the origin, go right 5, then I would stay there because the y value there is 0, and that lies on the x-axis. Now, in the graphing calculator, we have window settings that are similar. Like if I was to put a box around this coordinate plane, and let's say I had marked off 10 units in every direction from the center, on the graphing calculator, our x-min value under the window settings would be negative 10, and it has an x-max value. The largest x used on that particular screen is 10. And there's something called x-scale. It's each little tick mark is how much it is equal to, so it would be 1 is the number of units per tick mark, and then the y-min for this particular grid would be negative 10, y-max 10, and the y-scale of 1. And all of these can be changed on the graphing calculator, and they're located under the window feature. Now when we get to application problems, these will usually go way beyond negative 10 to 10, but this is like our standard viewing window, and you can get all of these values into your window settings by just pressing on the calculator zoom 6. Zoom 6 is the same thing. It's called the standard viewing window on the graphing calculator. Okay, let's say I was trying to plot the following points: negative 30, 20, negative 50, 10, and 7, 30. If I was on the graphing calculator, I would have to have a viewing window where the x-min was at least as small as any of the x values. So one viewing window that would work, I could set my x-min to be, let's say, negative 60. I'll go a little bit lower than the lowest x. Now my x-max for this particular point needs to be 7 or larger, so I can let it be 10. And my x scale could be what I'm going to count by on the tick mark, so I can let it be, say, 2. Now, for all these points to show up, my y-min would have to be lower than my smallest y value, which my smallest y value here is 10, so I could let it be a little smaller, say 0. My y max must be large enough to graph any of these y values, so I would let it be a little larger than the largest, which is I'm going to let it be 40. And then for my scale, I could count by whatever I wanted to. Going from 0 to 40, I would probably want to count by 5s. So you're going to be asked to set some viewing windows that would incorporate a certain set of data that you're going to be given. Just make sure, again, that your x values that you choose for your min and max are low enough and high enough to include all the x values, and same thing for the y values. Now you may be given a viewing window for the graphing calculator and asked to identify x, min, max, scale. So let's say we were given this particular window. Let's say we had 9, -9, and 5 to -5. And we have these tick marks in here. To find the x min, there's a formula that says x max, which is 5, minus x min, which is -5, divided by number of tick marks. So if you notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 10 tick marks. 5 plus 5, I get 10 divided by 10 equals 1. So my my x scale would be 1. X min here would be -5, x max of course is 5. And to find the scale, you just say max minus min divided by number of tick marks. So scale
this morning about 2 hours.
Is equal to the max value minus the min divided by the number of tick or division marks on the axis. Now for this particular problem the y-min, of course, is -9, and the y-max would be 9. Now to find your y-scale, we could just take the max 9 minus min divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tick or division marks. That would be 18 divided by 6, and so the scale is 3, which means we would count by 3. If we start at the origin and went up, we count 3, 6, 9. You can just look at that and figure it out also most of the time.
I'll have to look it up
without using that formula. We'll also be trying to find the distance between two particular points. Let's say point 1 is given by -4, 3, and point 2 is given by 2, be 0. So to substitute a 0 in for x, solve this out, and my y-intercept, or where the graph crosses the y-axis, would be at 3. One way to graph this equation, which is a line that has no squares on the x or the y, is to just plot the x and y-intercepts and connect them with a line. So if my x-intercept is -1.5, I can go from the center -1.5 and put a dot, and put a dot on my y-intercept of 3 and connect those with a line, and that's one way to graph. The other way, as you've already learned, would be to just pick out some x values, plug them in for x, and solve for what is usually called making a chart or a t-table of values. Where you pull it, you pick out an x, and then you put the x into the actual equation. For example, I can let x equal a -1. And I would say 2 times -1 plus 3. That gives a 1. For another ordered pair, I could let x be a 0. 2 times 0 plus 3 would give a 3. I could plot those 2 points, connect them with a line, and I would get the same line I already had by plotting the intercepts. In my math lab, you'll be asked to graph some equations. Let's say you were asked to graph -x² plus 4. First of all, you have to set the equation, make sure it's set equal to y, and then when you get this entered into your calculator,
713,
or Well, actually, we're just going to graph this one by hand, by plotting points.
615.
You just need to pick enough values for x to get several ordered pairs, since it's going to curve because of the square on here.
Yes, I don't know.
2 points will not work. You will need a quite lengthy table of values.
1992.
I would always pick a couple of negatives, a zero, and a couple positives. Plug those into the equation.
Yeah, somebody's got to.
When I square a negative 2, I get positive 4. Then this minus over here makes it go back to negative. So I'd have negative 2 squared plus 4. That's negative 4 plus 4. That's 0. Same thing when I put a negative 1 in squared, I get a positive 1, which turns back to a negative 1.
The pictures I hadn't posted
Negative
yet?
4, I get a 3. 0 squared plus 4, of course, is 4. 1 squared plus 4.
Well, when I get them posted, I'll tag you
I'll
in
put
them, and you can change
negative
it.
1 squared plus 4. That's also a 3.
All right.
And negative of 2 squared plus 4
I'll
is a
talk
0.
through it when we get there.
Now you're going to have to, when you get ready to graph in my math lab, you're going to have to select, first of all, the curve. So there's like this, it's going to show you a line, a V, a curve. Anyway, this right here would be the U-shaped curve. It's just a square on X. You'll always get the U-shaped curve. So first you will select it, and then you'll have to plot your points, press and enter after each
too
one.
much for me.
Be sure that after you place the first 3 points on the grid, you must press and enter for it to actually place the points on there. If you don't press enter, it's going to show that you missed it when the points are actually on there correct. But you have to press and enter. Then you select and click save. And then you would check your answer. So this is just a little quick wrap-up of a Section 1 overview. You need to go through the section in the e-text and study through the lesson and work out some of the examples. And then you will just go to your My Math Lab and start Section 1 homework assignments. And be sure to use those features to the